USA, delegate of USA. Yes, we may speak at the same time, but basically, we cannot force anyone to not follow a certain religion. Those religions that encourage child marriage, we must just remind them, but we cannot force them. We cannot put that as a law that it is impossible. At first, we must understand that the law is what gives protection to children to say no to child marriage. If the law states that, yes.
Can I have an opinion?
Yes.
I do believe that no religion allows child marriage. So I think about the religion, I think it's maybe misguided. People got misguided by their religion, thinking it's allowing them to do child marriage. It's basically my opinion, because I do believe no religion would allow such immoral thing to happen.
Thank you, Ashaya. I also agree. Can I speak? I also agree, as a religion, a basis of religion is to protect the children, protect people. Therefore, the violation, it's not connected. It's basically the practice itself that is wrong. It's the practice itself that should not be condoned. It's not, you need to change you need to change it from the inside.
That's why first and foremost, we must spread awareness, because if those people in faraway areas do not know that child marriage is a bad practice, but we as delegates know that. And so we must raise awareness, especially in rural areas, which is our second agenda actually. And that is why we must combat the normal practices of child marriage, like in religion, by spreading awareness. First and foremost, though, we must add laws. The reason is because the laws give the children the right to say no. If the law states that there is no specific age for marriage, then the child cannot say no to child marriage. That is why the 6 countries that do not specify a certain age and the 117 countries that allow children to marry are encouraged to have adequate laws that prevent child marriage, as it negatively impacts the economy, as previously said by other delegates. Thank you.
Sorry for taking time. However, we need to also address the past loopholes in our past solutions and adjust that. We need to clarify some laws, such as, for example, the minimum age of marriage. So in the UK, for example, you need a parent's consent to do that, which is still easy to bypass. So we need to adjust that.
Yes.
The delegate of China would like to address regarding the law, because in the past conferences and the conventions, there was a convention on the consent to marriage minimum age for marriage and registration of marriages, and it had been adopted, and some marriages do implement them, but it still happens because there is a religious law, and the religious law often it overrides the civil law, even if in the civil law it is written that the minimum age is 18 or 20, but the religious law in the country allows religious laws that can override, and it will higher the rate. It will higher the rate of the child marriages because the existence of this religious law. So what we need to do is that we have to clarify the civil law and to really implement it clearly, so there will be no manipulation from other laws such as rape laws and other laws such as religious laws. So we believe that this must be addressed.
The reason people can get away with child marriage is for a very specific religion. Yes, the intent to do child marriage is because of religion, but you must stop them. It's like, let's say if a religion had something to encourage murder, we must still prevent it, right? And that is for a specific reason. It's because of lack of regulation. If you have a law, to make the law work as stated, you must have people who take care of it. Yes, you must regulate the law. And next, you must have a very strong amount of awareness. If people do not even know about the law, it's a entire list of laws, but people know what is right and wrong. And yes.
Actually, you can speak first.
I would like to address one more thing. Don't forget to make a clear penalty for someone who actually did this immoral thing, child marriage. We have to give a clear penalty for that.
Yes, but
that has been implemented in the past. However, that is not working.
Yes, because there's a lack of awareness. There is a lack of awareness.
Lack of enforcement.
Yes, there's a lack of regulation and enforcement of the law, so people can get away with the law. Second is that it's very, very unrealistic because oftenly the child marriage is pressured upon the child by the family, so the child cannot reject the request. How can a child reject the request from a family? If the child were to, they would suffer from the family, and in some cases, they are forced to the point they cannot. Third, in the case if the child were to file a complaint, it is already very, 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 very difficult to file a complaint as a child to file a complaint to authorities is already very difficult. And next, out of millions of complaints of child marriage, it's very difficult to pay attention to every single one. And fourth, victims who experience child marriage, it's also difficult for them to recover. There is a lack of remedies to help them get on their feet again. And this causes an entire life to be miserable.
Thank you, Delegate. In one of my solutions, I also implemented because of the lack of for the remedy of the girls that has been involved in child marriage and the lack of enforcement, regulation, and all that.
Yes, Delegate. Yes, Delegate. Yes, Delegate.
This delegate also believes that it is relevant to warn religion by educating them as well.
Yeah, we should not condone the violation of human rights. It is a part of tradition, but it's not the tradition that are at fault. It is the violation of human rights of child marriage itself.
Exactly. Abolish this harmful tradition.
Yep.
This delegate believes that we can actually combine sanctions as well as raising awareness through many kinds of regulations. For example, re-education camps, which can actually combine sanctions and raising awareness. Because I agree with India that when people do not know the problem with child marriage or the regulations, we absolutely cannot put it to an end. However, only raising awareness without giving sanctions would also be wrong. So
Delegates, there's one major thing we're missing, and that is that although we can do all these things that we want to do, we need funding, and that's why we encourage the funding of more developed countries to help fund less economically developed countries like Pakistan, India, and that is why we must further plan on what resources, and especially in this COVID-19 pandemic where the economy is in a decline, poor countries require more help as COVID-19 is a big reason for child marriage. COVID-19 has increased the amount of children that are prone to child marriage by about 10 million.
India, may I add on that? There's a lot of organizations that's already been stopped has already been established to actually acknowledge this issue and to solve it, such as the Girls Not Bride. However, I think that those organizations help, but the collaboration between government members and those organizations will surely help a lot more in decreasing the rate, because government are supposed to control the people. If you're an organization and you're in, for example, Pakistan, where it's what known, would you listen to an organization or the government more?
Yes, we must also let other delegates speak too. Other delegates may speak.
Yeah.
Right. For funding, the delegate of China would like to add that we can do funding requests to some governments and global program partnerships, which is the GPP. So it must be taken into consideration. Besides that, the delegate of China believes that the delegate of USA has something to say. Would you take the pleasure to take the floor?
Yes, thank you, China. So regarding the funding mechanism, we actually also have a plan where we involve the World Banks or maybe other like non-government organizations in that. And we are all very much agreeing with the delegate of Pakistan statements, which states that the government should also have the rights to say and like to educate the people. And also, we believe that maybe in upcoming moderated caucuses, we should maybe focus more on the solutions. Firstly, about mostly about the karmas, like we haven't discussed about maybe the adequate laws, the education awareness strategies, and if possible, we might also have to include about the global economy since the, sorry, Pakistan, yeah.
Sorry, I was about, you can speak.
Okay, sorry. I thought, okay. Yeah, we should also talk about the effects on the global economy and maybe plans for post-COVID-19 solutions, so that child marriage doesn't like, it is useless if child marriage, for example, stops now, but after COVID-19, where the economy drops, child marriage could like happen again. So we need like a concise
delegate of USA, we must let other delegates speak, like South Sudan and Norway and UK.
Sure, sorry.
Also Switzerland.
I would like to add, what if country associations such as ASEAN, NATO, and EU would work together to make an organization to fund the countries that have less money than they have?
Can I add something that's not really relevant,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm aware of the status between some countries here, for example, the UK and China, but I feel like we have to actually ignore that because child marriage is a global problem. So, and then China, may I add in something? You said you want the, wait, sorry. Sorry.
The UK, I believe this delegate believes that another delegate has mentioned the funding of less economically developed countries by more economically developed countries. Can we discuss that?
Yes, I would like to add on that content creators, especially like Mr. Beast, he's making these team threes, team Cs. I believe that we should ask these content creators to help raise awareness. Since YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, this is a great platform to raise awareness on this matter. Since people are talking about the dirty Cs, less trees. However, child marriage is often overlooked. So I think content creators all over the world, from UK, from USA, from China, from Norway, from India, everywhere around the world, we should raise awareness on these social media platforms, not just for doing dances and making prank videos, but to also help raise awareness. Yeah.
Can I add on that? But usually in this type of things, they use the fund, they collect money. But how can we make sure that those money don't get into to be used in a bad way and actually helps in the funding of child marriage?
That's why we need the government and for example UNESCO and UNICEF to work together with content creators. Enforcement deal more of
The thing with content creators is, yes, it can spread awareness, but the problem is that for victims who experience child marriage, it basically does nothing. Next is that it's not a very good idea to use content creators as a solution. It's just not a very good idea. So, yes.
Yeah,
Can this
I feel like
delegate add
that.
something?
Yes.
So because UNICEF is one of the UN bodies, so this delegate believes that it's better to collaborate with other UN bodies such as UNESCO or maybe with NGOs and private and also with TIU. So besides collaborating with other people such as content creators, I think it's better to first collaborate with UN bodies. Then we can continue to collaborate with external forces.
Yeah, I agree with that. However, I would like to address like the COVID-19 pandemic and the rise in unemployment, which will affect poverty. Does any delegate have any solutions on that? Well, I think that
the delegate of South Sudan has a solution. Actually, UNICEF could actually expand the assistance and economic assistance for the lower economic class, or we could actually UNICEF could actually make a working field for parents. Yeah.
we should also address healthcare and
Oh, yes,
vaccination
yes.
rates for some countries, because vaccination is a really important step to eradicating the pandemic, which will then stabilize the economy and decrease the rate of unemployment.
Okay, I have a question. What about the people who don't believe in vaccination?
That's why we must
That's why we
combat
must-
misinformation on the media.
Misinformation on the media, and we should also provide vaccination, especially in poorer countries, especially in poorer areas.
Delegate,
No question.
ties back to my point of, again, the more economically developed countries funding the less economically developed countries. Well, we should again discuss that. How will that happen?
Oh yes, we must further discuss on what exactly are we funding. Well, first, one of the biggest causes of child marriage currently is the COVID-19 pandemic, and most poor countries have a massive need for money. So we should discuss that first.
Right, the delegate of China would like to have a say about this, since there's a COVID-19 pandemic aftermath, such as economic decline. A lot of families are incapable to ensure food in their household, which then causes the child marriage because the parents want their children to be safe, they want the children to be fed, so they marry their children to another household. Now, the delegate of China has a solution for this, which is to send NGOs to least developed countries or undeveloped countries to teach about several planting techniques to make sure that they can ensure their own food security, so they do not need to marry their children off. So the planting technique is the half moon technique and the hydroponic planting. This is very effective because the half moon planting technique is capable of ensuring the crops to
Delegate of
Delegate,
China,
but
could the delegate of China please further discuss what they mean with that?
also,
all
can I
right.
adjust something for the crops? It takes time to grow, and the pandemic, yeah, it takes
Yes,
time to
please
grow.
let the delegate of China to finish the resolution and how it'll be implemented. So, all right, regarding the half.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, that is really, really great, and it also implements in Albania's solutions. Any other delegates would like to add anything that you guys want to say? Yes, Delegate of Chad.
The delegate of Chad thinks it is important to encourage all member states to maybe implement some sort of support system for children, especially young women, to maybe educate them on literacy, communication, and how to advocate themselves. Yeah.
Okay, Delegate of Chad. Have you what do you think like about for that? Do you want to make an institution or you want to apply it for schools or anything?
I think maybe we can create more campaigns and organizations, however, strengthen them to maybe let them cooperate with the maybe sustainable development goals, because right now there are lots of regional bodies and organizations that has helped and took part in the action of child marriage, resolving child marriage, but it's not strengthened yet and it's not implemented well. So maybe they can cooperate with the sustainable development goals. Yeah.
Okay, that's super duper great. Yeah, I think it's proper for me to introduce my solutions now, since the delegate of Chad also mentioned about for like campaigns. So for Albania solution, first is called LOCO. It's shortened for local community-based campaign. So it's in order to raise awareness regarding child marriage, and also we can like merge our solutions with the delegate of Chad. We can also add to this to add to raise awareness, especially for girls, to advocate. And also, one of Albania's other solutions is called CPI, which stands for Child Protection Institution. So we are planning to make an institution under UNICEF and has subdivisions per territory, as it is decided from the government of each member states. And CBI has a couple of responsibilities, such as like accepts any complaints regarding child protection through a hotline and do further investigations regarding the complaints. And yeah, for CPI itself, even though it's pretty general in protecting children, but I think it can help for preventing child marriage. Any other delegates would like
I
to
want
add?
to ask a question to all member states. So we know for a fact that the rate of child marriage is slowly declining over in the world, right? And Africa is actually the fastest growing continent on the planet. So while the rate of child marriage is slowly declining,
Yeah, so I personally think that you guys can type in your solutions based on the article
if you guys, mostly, of course, agree with the article title. And so first is child protection, and then second, education, and third is raising awareness, fourth is economy support. I think I heard some of you guys already already have a solution regarding economy support. And also, if there are any types of solutions that you guys want to add, please do. So yeah, any other delegates would like to add?
I'm sorry, earlier you mentioned type it in, so I assume you have some sort of a document for this, or?
Oh yeah, hi Delegate of New Zealand, you just joined.
Yeah, I'm new here.
Okay. Yeah, so in the previous Unmoderated Caucus, I think Delegate Amali, you can share it to the Delegate of New Zealand.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, and also, okay. And also I will share the link for our WhatsApp group, yeah, in the chat.
By the way, I want to ask, is it true that in the previous unmoderated caucus, some of the delegates says that one of the main causes is cultural and tradition. I see that it hasn't input it in the article, so maybe can input it so letter will not be double. Thank you.
Any other delegates would like to add maybe solutions that you guys maybe, because in the draft resolution we can make a solution that we discuss together in the unmoderated caucus, not just our personal solutions. Any of you guys would like to collaborate with one another, because in the previous unmoderated caucus, I assume you guys already heard some of like similar. Yes, Delegate of Thailand, do you want to speak?
I have an inquiry. I just want to know that if we have, in terms of like the articles and things we can do we have to get it from, say, from our previous speeches, or can we just collaborate here and make the laws right now? Because I didn't really get, I think I received some information on how we're supposed to put in the solutions, but I didn't really get it clearly. So can we like just make a new one now? I just wanted to, because then I have
order, Chair?
That's just a question I'd like to know the answer.
Sorry, can you repeat your inquiries?
Basically, for our solutions, do we have to like only include the ones we included in our like speeches and things like that?
Oh, no. So you can put anything that you want, but it has to be discussed in the conference, whether it is in your moderated caucus or in unmoderated caucus. So whatever you decide here right now, it can be put in the whether it is draft resolution or working paper later on. I hope that answers your question. Yes.
Thank you.
Good luck, Delegate.
For the solution, I'd actually like to propose something, if I may. Because earlier I saw in the docs that there is something called a lack of law enforcement, right? And so maybe one of the ways to actually enforce the law properly can be to create a committee that can intervene and observe, and maybe they can do routine checks to each country that's maybe having problems with their law enforcement, maybe once in every 6 months, so that we can make sure that the law can be enforced properly. What do you guys think?
I vote yay.
I also agree with that solution.
Yes, that's a great solution, Delegate of New Zealand. You can put it in the docs. Any of the other delegates would like to, talk about their solution, so make sure that it can be put in the docs. Yes, Delegate of Denmark.
To tell you about my solution. So This is the social solution of the delegate of Denmark. In the area, we will set up communities from the smallest, which is the families, to the bigger worldwide communities. This will make problem solving and problem detection much easier, and we're going to able to assess problems from the base. The community will also benefit families while helping solve their financial problems and provide other needs. The community will be divided into families in the same suburb, inter-suburb, intercity, national, and international, which is, of course, the biggest and global. When all these communities have one single goal to end child marriage, they will then create activities that lead to the achievement of a certain goal. Eventually, they can work together internationally to combat the multi-layer.
Okay, so I guess your solution can be put in the article number 4, economy support. Is that correct? Yes, okay.
Yes,
Any
that's correct.
other delegates would like to, discuss their solutions here?
I would like to discuss my resolution.
Sure.
I put it in the 17th one, but I put it during break, so we haven't discussed. It's make a local child rights ambassadors whose duties are to promote knowledge on the impact of child marriage towards local communities they are assigned to. This can relate to social cultures because those small local communities have those cultural beliefs that a girl has to be married early in order to have a prosperous life, something like that. So this local child rights ambassador comes from the UNICEF themselves that can help spread the influence of withstanding child marriage. May I have opinions of other delegates?
Yeah. For Albania, we also propose a similar solution that also resolves on cultural issues, which is I mentioned before, it's called local community-based campaign, and we collaborate with local public figures such as religious leaders, celebrities, influencers, and because in this program we have like 2 stages, which is first is seminars or webinars, seminars if it's possible after the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, and the second stage is work training to sharpen girls' skills and also to break the notion that girls cannot make a living like boys. And I think we can kind of like combine our solutions. Delegate of Somalia.
Yes, sure, we can combine it, but there's a part that I quite disagree about. The part influencers. Somalia is still like a third world country, so our community is not really familiar with influencers, so I don't think that influencers can have a big impact on Somali people.
Oh, okay. But do you think that religious leaders can give influence to the citizens in Somalia for this program?
Regarding religious leaders, I am sure they can because they have great influence. Though I'm not sure because Somalia is a Muslim country, and many religious leaders unfortunately abuse the rule, and they say that child marriage is allowed in Islam, but it is actually used in another context, so it can, but we have to choose the religious leaders carefully on which that can help influence.
Okay, that means I can add that specific, specific, I'll put it there. Like we have to pick those local public figures carefully. Any other delegates would like to add? And by the way, thank you so much, Delegate of Somalia, for the feedback. And any other delegates would like to discuss about their solutions so we can put it in the docs?
Perhaps we could improve data collection. So like we could keep track of the existing programs or policies that we have recently done. And if they are doing well, then we could probably emphasize more on that and try to make those programs better. I'm not sure if that's in the paper though yet.
I mean, yeah, sure. We can put it, and that sounds great. And yeah, if you can, do you want to discuss the mechanisms further? Because, you know, that needs further like specified mechanisms.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, we could probably try to find ways to strengthen them or ensure their effectiveness, you know, to monitor the implementation. Probably we could find ways to do that.
Yeah, also I think like we need to also think about a way how to, you know, for technology distribution, because underdeveloped countries, they might not have the easy access for technology as developed countries, right? So we might have to think for that also. So let us know if you any other delegates would like to, you know, give ideas for that. Any other delegates? Yes.
I don't really, this delegate doesn't really know if this is in the same context or not, but during my research, I've seen that some like underdeveloped areas tend to not have like provide data, like proper data about child marriage in said area. So I think we can make a law stating like said like all areas have to provide the data like as a mandatory routine.
If talking about law, I'm afraid it's not like UNICEF's mandate, except if you want to like make an accounts committee like under UNICEF, that is really possible, you know, to keep track on the data and stuff. But if law, I'm afraid it's out of UNICEF's mandates, and it's kind of like dangerous if you want to put it in the draft resolution. What do you think, Delegate of Colombia?
Yes, I mean, how about the other delegates?
I think regarding the law terms regarding child marriage, we could only socialize back to the communities about the legal marriage law and enforce them to implement the law, because I think if adding law or something like that, it's not UNICEF mandate, so we can't do that.
Yes, the delegate of Bangladesh agrees.
I actually have a solution that I think we might be able to use to solve the poverty issue. And that's to find a renewable energy alternative that people could use to depend on. So the energy taken from the renewable energy alternative could be used for governmental use, whether that is to help with education or with any other thing that they would need energy for. And then the renewable energy plant that is being used, it can be used to give people jobs, and that could kind of help solve with poverty. And of course, this would range based on their ecological conditions. Maybe in a place with more sun, we could put solar panels and they could take care of them and make sure they keep in shape. But that's my suggestion. Do any of the delegates have any say in it? Any opinion?
The delegate of New Zealand would like to add, because as I'm sure we all know, solar panels and everything can be expensive. So I also would like to propose some more collaborations with the World Bank and also with developed countries. New Zealand in particular is quite a developed country, and we are more than happy to help with the funding for Germany's proposal.
Like New Zealand, Norway's healthcare system, I would say, is better than average. So I'm the delegate of Norway is also happy to help with anything.
I see the delegate of Thailand raise their hand.
Maybe. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Maybe improved infrastructure in general for like schools. So some minors may have like the encouragement to at least give school a try, and maybe like free education if that goes with it.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and thank you,
I
Delegate.
don't know if I can like apply that to each country though. That'll be
Yeah,
a hard thing to pass.
that's true. That's true. But thank you, Delegate of Germany, Norway, and Thailand. Those were all great ideas. That yeah, as the Delegate of Thailand mentioned before, we have to make sure that it can be possible for us to implement these programs in um, each member states, and also yeah, what we discussed about our solutions in this unmoderated caucus, and also the solutions that you guys brought up in the moderated caucus or GSL, you guys make sure that you guys have mentioned it before and put it in the docs. Any of the other delegates want to give opinions about anything, honestly?
This is not an opinion, but I would like ask if our one of our resolutions has how can the council encourage states to implement the adequate law in their respective legal systems and constitution in dealing with the issue?
I think the delegate of Mali can answer this. This is related to your solution.
Yes, I think it's related to my solutions, which is low intensification to leave out abusive marriage, because this proposal is about the laws in terms of legal marriage according like the correct laws that has been applied in the communities will remember back what is the legal marriage, and then there's also enforcement of the law by against tolerating child marriage regardless the reasons underlying that issues, so that there will no tolerations against child marriage anymore. I think is it answer the requirements number 1.
In my opinion, it does. What about the other delegate?
I'd like to, this is more like, I would like to ask for input on my suggestion for the child marriage observation committee. I do feel like it could answer the karmas number 1, because karmas number 1 is about like the implementing it, right? And I think this committee can help encourage other countries to implement the child marriage laws through the routine observations.
The delegate of Bangladesh agrees because that was also a part of our resolution.
The delegate of Germany agrees with New Zealand as it was also part of my resolution.
Okay, great. I think our solutions have answered the karmas number 1, karmas number 2, and also karmas number 3, because of there are some solutions that give economy support, right, for the karmas number 3. And what do you guys think about karmas number 4? What I think from my solution, we're planning to combine the solution local community-based campaign with U-Report, which is a program under UNICEF also. So that is like also an implementation of past frameworks to fight against child marriage practices. What do you guys think about for the current and future frameworks, or anything you would like to add in general?
I don't remember which country said this, but I do remember one delegate saying they'll be having evaluations of the progress. I feel like that could answer karma number 4, but I forgot which delegate said it.
Okay, I also forgot which delegate said it. Any delegates that has mentioned this before? You guys maybe wanna talk about it? Excuse me, Chair. This delegate would like to ask, how many countries should be in the draft resolutions? Is there any limitations?
There are no limitations on the maximum side. However, there will be a minimum number of signatories that will be announced later on.
Thank you, Chair. And also for the sponsors, how many countries are available to be the sponsors?
Yes, we'll announce that later on, Delegate.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
The delegate of New Zealand would like to speak about the karmas number 4, because to ensure the implementation of the past, current, and future frameworks, maybe we can have an archive. I'm pretty sure, New Zealand is pretty sure that one of the other delegates already mentioned some sort of database. And I think this archive can also, so we can look back at some of our past and can later on. Do the other delegates?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Delegate of New Zealand. Any other delegates would like to discuss about karmas number 4? Maybe for karmas number 4, future frameworks. So like, how can we ensure the implementation of our future frameworks? Do the other delegates have, any ideas how to do that? The delegate of Mozambique, do you want to say anything?
I just want to add some for the enforcement or assurance about the future frameworks. Maybe we can do conference about recalling what the report from each country. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically give reports from each country and we discuss, evaluate what should we do next, and yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yes, and we should have a routinized one.
Okay, that sounds great. Since we only have less than about 25 seconds left, I want to say thank you all delegates for participating in this unmoderated caucus, and make sure to put your solutions that we discussed before in the docs. Thank you, delegates.
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hi delegates, hi again. I hope everyone is not tired. Okay, so I see a lot of you guys have put your solutions in our working paper, and since it's due tomorrow before our third committee session, yeah, if you guys haven't put your solutions, and if you guys want to put it and you haven't discussed about it in the moderate caucus, you can discuss about it here. Is there anything you guys are confused with? And I personally think that you guys can elaborate more on the programs. Any other delegates would like to reply?
Excuse us.
We have a proposal to make alliances with you guys.
Yes, the delegate of Albania, our bloc would like to form an alliance with your bloc, since we think that the less economically developed countries should also
Wait. First,
funded.
what we must do is we have to find out what each block thinks about how to solve this problem. Can a representative of each block say their ideas on how to solve this problem?
Okay, I'll go first. So our block focuses on a couple of aspects in our solutions. First is like child protection, second education, third raising awareness, fourth economic support, fifth law enforcement. Yeah, so far is that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that's very similar to our block. In fact, it's almost identical, except it's a few less than what we have in mind.
Sorry for interrupting. Do we merge our blocks or what?
I feel like because our solutions is quite similar, we should just focus on a certain solution because our solution is quite similar, so we should just merge our blocks.
Yes, we can make a better idea if we work together as one big whole instead of having two blocks with very similar stances.
Yes, and we also we need each other in order to fulfill and maximizing this resolution. That's why for the delegate of Albania's bloc, do you accept our alliance?
Delegate of Albania, this delegate thinks that you should communicate with other delegates from your bloc.
Yeah, I'll ask them.
The delegate of Taiwan previously mentioned that we should do a vote to see the overall majority. Can we have a raise of hands for people who believe that we should merge as one block because our stances are close to identical? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Okay, it passes the majority, yes. So yes, for the people who do not support it, then we will have to separate blocks. Are there any who do not support this idea? Can there be a raise of hands for those who do not support this idea? Is there any delegate who does not support this idea?
We believe everybody supports India.
All right, then. So first, to work on our working paper, then we must have a communication. So what platform can we use for communication?
I think we'll share you the working paper to Google Docs.
I feel like the Zoom chat is quite because it will be gone once the meeting is over. So, and then some people does not have a phone or has access to WhatsApps, but all of you have emails. Are you able to do it through Google Hangouts?
Yes, it is agreeable through Google Hangouts for us. We don't know how about other delegates.
For the draft resolution, we already have a doc in mind and prepared for it. So yes, we will send it later in the Google Hangouts. Thank you.
Oh yeah, for the emails, if we are not mistaken, the committees has sent the full email. So maybe anyone who has access through WhatsApp could share it through Google Hangouts later on. Is it the delegate of Pakistan, if we are not mistaken?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, the delegate of Pakistan, can you help us with that maybe later?
Oh yeah, since I already have your emails from the WhatsApp group, the one that I ask for your email, so it will be, I will take care of that.
Okay,
Thank you. With the remaining time, we need to talk about the two of our blocks and the similarities and like ideas we can give to the other block. Thank you.
Maybe we could start from Karma's number 1 for the adequate law. Maybe we could hear from the other blocks first.
Yes, for the first. Yes, for the first Karma. And for the first agenda.
Yes, for the Karma's number 1, the delegate of Mali actually is have a solution for Karma's number 1. Delegate of Mali, you may go ahead.
Let me propose my solutions. I have the solutions in laws intensification to leave out abusive child marriage, or we say LILAC. And based on these programs, it can be done by socialization by the government according to the correct legal marriage based on law in order to prevent the social impacts, and enforcement against tolerating child marriage regardless the reasons underlying that issues. And we believe that by socializing the law, it could help to implement the law.
Yes, previously mentioned by the delegate of Guinea, we do need 3 sponsors to represent our block. Would anyone like to want to be a sponsor?
I personally support for Albania's representation.
I also support and propose that Albania would be our representation.
I support Albania as our block leader.
So
New
for
Zealand
the
also supports Albania as the block leader.
Since there are only 3 raising hands, who would want China to be the block leader or to be the sponsor? There are a maximum of 3 sponsors. Who would want China or India to be a sponsor? Oh, and Austria and South Sudan. Wait, no. Yes.
I would personally agree that China and India should be the sponsor.
I see. So is it settled that the 3 sponsors are China, Albania, and India?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there any objections? Does anyone else want to be the sponsor?
I can volunteer.
Would anyone want the delegate of Thailand to be a sponsor?
I can
China,
support
Albania,
Thailand. I support Albania, China, and Thailand as well.
So should we do a vote to find who would like who? So for Albania, can there be a raise of hands who would like Albania as a sponsor? Please lower your hand, sponsors. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, who are we voting again? India, can you repeat?
We are
Albania, China, and India, and Thailand. So 24 want Albania. How many want India? Five, 10, 15, 20, 21. How many want China? 22. Five, 10, 15, 20. So 5, 10, 15. So it's 29. Wait, 29, 30. Therefore, the three, who are the three highest votes? Albania, China, and Thailand, right? Is that so? It's pretty hard to look at it. 5, 10. That's all. Hello.
I'm sorry, Delegate of India. Can you clarify what we're raising our hand for?
Oh, the sponsors. There are a maximum of 3 sponsors in this one block, and we would like to vote on who would be like to be the sponsor. Should we vote again? Due to
Yes.
the
We voting for.
oh, then it's okay. Then it's Albania.
Yeah, I believe that Albania is the only one.
Yeah, Albania, China, and India. All right, that's it then.
Oh, the delegate of China would also like to add that the delegate of China believes that the delegate of USA is also capable as being the sponsor.
Well, there's a maximum of 3 only.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yes.
Because since we merge our blocks together, so I think we should at least have each representatives from the original blocks. So yeah, if all the 3 sponsors are from the same block, I don't think it's like efficient in telling our solutions.
Well, there are 2 blocks, 2 from the block 1 and 1 from block 2. And there doesn't seem to be any other sponsors. Would the delegate of USA want to be a sponsor?
How about
delegate of, I'm sorry, USA, would you like to continue?
Oh yeah, actually we were asking for maybe a revote, but maybe more structurized, where everyone has to like lower their hands first and then count, and then we have to write it down. So it is clear that how much votes that.
Well, there are only 3 options in the first place, so there isn't a need to revote.
Oh, okay.
I think it would be more fair if we had 1 person from block 1 originally and 1 person from block 2 originally, because that would be a more fair representation.
Well, yes, they are. They are. Albania is from block 2. China and me are from block 1. Thank you.
I think it's settled. India, China, and Albania.
If we want to discuss it, we could maybe discuss it later in a group chat or maybe in the Google Hangout.
Google Hangout, yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. That sounds like a great idea.
All right, then maybe we could discuss it later in the Google Hangout. It's already time. We should leave the breakout room.
Which delegate would create the Google Hangout?
I don't know. Should we make a vote again? It's
Since I have the majority of people's emails, I will be able to create the Google Hangouts.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, all delegates.
Research that it's recorded. Okay. The root cause in Colombia would be, I'd say, gender inequality and also social culture of like the community itself. Next, can.
In Bangladesh, it is also socio-cultural and economy also.
In Indonesia too, like Albania and Bangladesh, the main root problem of child marriage here is economical status and sociocultural perception.
In Mali itself, the causes of child marriage is poverty, which related to the economical issues and also the lack of awareness.
And here it's poverty and social pressure.
In Central African Republic, the most common cases are found due to the civil war happening and, of course, poverty. So we agree with the delegate of Niger, which is asking for more help.
Do we discuss more problems too?
Yeah, sure. Thailand,
I'm just
go
gonna
ahead.
assume yes. Mine's is more to tradition. Rosanna.
Any other delegates who hasn't spoken yet?
May the delegate of Chad speak?
Yes, sure.
Yes, so we acknowledge that Chad is a third world country, so we are economically suffering from poverty and we are a non-industrialized country. So more issues such as corruption, conflicts, and the harsh climate did the country no favors because Chad has consistently remained one of the poorest countries. So therefore the root of child marriage in Chad is resulted from poverty and it mostly occurs in rural areas.
Okay, I see other delegates that has joined recently. I think Denmark. We were just talking about the root causes of child marriage in each countries. Would you like to say anything about this topic?
As I have said before, when the motion was stated by the chairs, most of the root main causes of child marriage and juvenile marriage in Denmark are from asylum seekers, which are people who have seek shelter and medical help in Denmark and has brought traditions and cultures of child marriage into the country.
Okay. Also, I think the delegate of the Dominican Republic has just joined. What about you?
In our country, it's because of poverty and tradition. So before recently, there are no rules prohibiting child marriage. So it's considered normal. So now the people are like getting used to it. So it's hard to eliminate it once and for all. Yeah, like that.
Okay. I think we all get a gist of each countries that are involved here in this breakout room. And also I already sent the link for WhatsApp group. Please join. And I think we should talk about our solutions just briefly. Maybe the delegate of Mali, would you like to say about your motions about your solutions first?
The delegates of Mali has prepared some programs in our solutions regarding child marriage. The first is regarding the lack of laws enforcement. So we need to intensify back the laws to leave out abusive child marriage. And then we have the program RAISE, which stands for Raising Awareness Over Child Exploitation. And then for the long-term solution, and I think it could be applied in every country, is youth economic education training, in which we give some economy and education training to the rural countries and developed countries. How about the delegates of Bangladesh?
So hearing that economic status is one of the triggers to child marriage, the delegate of Bangladesh has provided some resolutions, which is first to enforce state legals and protections of the economic sector. So we need to raise awareness to the citizens about tax, for example, and also we need to protect transactions among countries. And second, also, we need to ensure even distribution of social aids, financial support, and especially in low economic and rural areas. And we need honesty between the handlers, so there are no corruptions or unfairness in distributing the aids.
Okay, great. Maybe the delegate of Iraq, would you like to, propose your solutions?
So based on my analysis, that one of the main reasons was also poverty. And in Iraq, one of the main causes of that poverty is due to the amount of like maybe terrorism or wars between their own settlers. Now, this is a problem that can't exactly be solved directly. And it can't exactly be solved, we just say something and it'll just be solved. It can't just be solved like that, sadly. But one of the solutions that we could use is to actually have a stronger political system. When you have a stronger political system, people start to get scared to even do stuff like terrorism. People would even get scared to just steal a simple candy bar. So to have a strong political system, we would be able to initially slowly develop the country into a better place to develop, so that people will start to know that having child marriages won't exactly be a solution to maybe poverty and other problems that were already mentioned.
Maybe the delegate of Indonesia add a solution.
Yes, sure.
Yes, the delegate of Indonesia would like to add the solution of adding proper sex education in our school systems. Yes, this is a solution that many has suggested, but there has been no real action to it. The reasoning to this is because accidents such as pregnancy out of wedlock is one of the reasons for child marriage. This may be caused by the lack of sex education in schools being taught to students as especially in Indonesia and other Asian countries. Sex is usually treated as a taboo topic, and schools would usually rely saying to students that they should just abstinence. But that doesn't always happen, and we should provide the proper education how in a controlled and safe environment. Thank you.
Okay, that was a great delegate of Indonesia, and also I totally agree with that. And maybe next, delegate of Mozambique, do you have any ideas for solutions or the solutions that you proposed in the position paper? Maybe you can introduce it to us.
Yeah, thank you, the delegates of Albania. So in my position paper, I have actually 3 programs, and mainly it's like a program that is for practical, not really enforcement on law. The first is the Pursuit of Adolescent Future. Basically, it's a program targeted adolescents aged 12 to 19 years old. It aims to prepare for their future through mentoring, which can also improve the quality of human resources. In addition, it guides them to become teenagers with innovative and creative minds. With this, we expect that we can pave a better way for their future, protect them from child marriage, and provide them the ability to determine their future. And then the second one, we have Open to Listen. And this program is focusing on youth, especially young women, childbirths who are at risk of being affected by child marriage, and to protect them from gender-based violence or domestic abuse. And in this program, we open our ears and provide a place for them to talk about the difficulties as well as try to provide solutions. The third one is a program to raise awareness, not only for the children itself, but all of the citizens. And we work together to run this program with local regional leaders by visiting each province and region to reduce the mobility of residents during this COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, we expect that raising awareness can make it easier to decline the number of child marriage. Thank you. Anyone?
Yes, so the delegate of Afghanistan noticed that most of the previous countries stated that poverty was their main root cause. We could probably cooperate with United Nation agencies or NGOs or different organizations to provide adequate financial resources, and we could support programs or such. Anyone would like to?
Okay. So far, what I get is to tackle, first of all, like economy state, and then also education, raising awareness, and also I think because in the draft resolution we can divide our solutions to different chapters or different articles based on classifications of our solutions. So poverty, lack of poverty, raising awareness, education. Is there anything else that I missed?
Can I add the lack of law enforcement, because I think
yes,
regarding child marriage.
Okay, yeah. Any other delegates that would like to add?
Also, I would like to add that we should consider doing these actions in rural areas and low socioeconomic areas, because that can be a difficulty.
Yes, okay. That will be noted. Thank you, Delegate of Bangladesh.
That there's a motive that could actually encourage us to provide free education by volunteers. Most people avoid giving free education because they expect they don't get anything in return, but the body can actually receive skilled labor and employment. Examples, the country or organization, when they educate these young men and women, they can get better workers such as factory workers, waiters, and even office workers that are good because they have basic education.
Okay, any other delegates I would like to add? If not, I think I can tell you guys more about my personal solutions. Any other delegates would like to tell about their solutions first? Delegate of Central African Republic, do you want to add anything? Like about your solutions?
Just a little bit. Considering everyone talked about education for teens and adolescents, as the delegate from Central African Republic, we believe that we should also try to educate the family or the parents, because we believe that child marriage is from the point of view or the parents' belief. So we think it's not such a bad idea to try and educate the parents too and inform them. The delegate, may I talk?
Yes, sir.
The delegate of Bangladesh agrees with that resolution, and also we can set up a standardization for the educational quality we aim.
The delegate of Somalia would like to ask if there are any other countries that share similar culture with Somalia, which is the process of female genital mutilation before marriage. Are there any countries that relate?
The delegate of Chad relates to the issue of FGM.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Colombia, would you like to say anything?
So in a couple of the previously mentioned solutions, there was a couple delegates who suggested to ask help from developed countries and other countries in general. Can you guys please specify, like, in what aspect should we ask help from said countries?
Delegate of Niger, would you like to answer that?
What was the question?
The delegate of Colombia was asking like if you said that countries that are like still developing should ask help from the developed countries, and the delegate of Colombia asked she we would like to know the specifications.
I think the delegates of the Niger like to help in educating the people and financial and infrastructure. I think that's our answer.
The delegate of Bangladesh agrees with the delegate of Niger. May I answer to the delegate of Colombia's question? In Central African Republic, there is a civil war happening, which means that the economic is in shambles, blood diamonds, many families are displaced, not to mention it's a fact on child marriage. So I think that Central African Republic has more food on its plate than it could eat. So I think we definitely need some help, not just from countries. I think we could also ask help from the UN too, to just, I think, stabilize the country or like lay the foundation down first.
Okay, any other delegates who hasn't like explained about their solutions?
The delegate of Bangladesh also thinks that we should maintain international or global programs and action plans by routinized conferences, so we can keep our, collaboration.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, that is really, really great, and it also implements in Albania's solutions. Any other delegates would like to add anything that you guys want to say? Yes, Delegate of Chad.
The delegate of Chad thinks it is important to encourage all member states to maybe implement some sort of support system for children, especially young women, to maybe educate them on literacy, communication, and how to advocate themselves. Yeah.
Okay, Delegate of Chad. Have you what do you think like about for that? Do you want to make an institution or you want to apply it for schools or anything?
I think maybe we can create more campaigns and organizations, however, strengthen them to maybe let them cooperate with the maybe sustainable development goals, because right now there are lots of regional bodies and organizations that has helped and took part in the action of child marriage, resolving.
Can I ask how would you like implement that?
Job opportunities. You would need companies to get into less economically developed countries.
Because of the pandemic, I feel like countries are not. I mean, the pandemic. How about the border? The borders problem. Some countries are still not letting people in their country.
Well, of course, the first most important thing is to prevent COVID cases, and having the borders is the main key. The point of the job opportunities is after COVID-19 pandemic. We must also help people regain their jobs.
This delegate believes that every statement here that has mentioned education is completely irrelevant. However, we still need to discuss funding, as this wouldn't be able to happen without it.
Yes, but due to time constraints, we must wrap up and conclude our discussion right now. So could the delegates please conclude their solutions?
Or maybe for the solutions, let's just make for another moderated caucuses. Like we could focus more on the education awareness for the next moderated caucuses, maybe delegates. So we could jump.
Yes, but we must conclude what we discussed in this current council. What did we do in this current current session, a current motion, current unmoderated caucuses? We have shown the relevance of certain topics, and we have shown the relevance of certain topics, and we have proposed a few solutions. We all agreed that we must strengthen laws in order to combat child marriage. Second, the delegate UK has said we must further talk about funding, as we have not discussed that enough. And funding is a key part, as many less economically developed countries cannot fund their own programs and such as education. And yes, so thank you.
I would also like to add addressing the past loopholes and solutions and frameworks.
Yes, and we've also discussed the importance of awareness. And so, yes, that concludes our unmoderated caucus. Let's leave to the main room again.
Thank you, delegates.
Thank you, delegates.